Hello everyone, it's Kim Messenger from Reservoir Church. This week during Holy Week, Dan Archibald and I have been sharing short videos to help us remember what happened to Jesus when he went to Jerusalem for the last time. Today is Good Friday and I'll be sharing about Jesus' crucifixion. Yesterday, Dan shared the part of the story when Jesus shared his Last Supper with his disciples, how he washed their feet and shared with them the bread and the wine. After their supper together, Jesus and his friends went out to a garden outside the city called the Garden of Gethsemane, where many olive trees were growing on a hillside. Jesus wanted to find a quiet place where he could pray. When he finished praying and came back to where his disciples were waiting, that's when Judas came out of the darkness, bringing with him the soldiers who were carrying torches and spears. And Judas said to the soldiers, "The one that I kiss on the cheek is the one that you are looking for." And Judas went up to Jesus and kissed him. And that's when the soldiers took Jesus and carried him away into the night. That night must have been a confusing one. They took Jesus to the house of Caiaphas, the high priest. The chief priests and the religious leaders were angry with Jesus. He had done so many things to upset them. He had healed people on the Sabbath, and he had claimed to be God's special son, the Messiah. When they asked him, Are you Jesus, God's special one, the Messiah?" He said, "Yes." And that made them even more angry. He was Jesus from Nazareth, Joseph's son. How could he be the Messiah? They were angry and they wanted to have Jesus killed. So the next morning on Friday, they took Jesus to the Roman governor, who was named Pontius Pilate, so that they could have Jesus killed. But Pontius Pilate said, "I can find nothing wrong with this man that you have brought to me. What do you want me to do with him?" And the religious leaders riled up the crowds and they cried out, "Crucify him, kill him." So Pilate handed Jesus over to the soldiers and he washed his hands of him. The soldiers took Jesus and stripped him of his clothes. And they whipped him with a leather cord full of knots. And then they cut branches from a thorn bush and wove it into a crown. And they pressed the crown into his head till he bled. And the soldiers made fun of Jesus. They cried out, "Hail, Jesus, King of the Jews." And then they took Jesus out to a place outside the city called the Place of the Skull. And there they hung Jesus with nails to a cross. And on one side of him was a thief, and the other side another thief. And after they had crucified him and hung him on the cross, the soldiers played a game with dice to see who would win Jesus' clothes. Some of the people who were watching called up to Jesus and said, "If you really are the Son of God, show us. Come down from the cross and save yourself." Jesus from the cross prayed, "God, forgive them, for they don't know what they are doing." And then Even though it was the middle of the day, everything became dark as night. Jesus cried out one last time, and then he died. When we remember this part of the story when we're together in church, we often blow out our candles. Here is a picture of this part of the story. This picture was made by an artist who is a sewer. She made quilts. She used different pieces of fabric to show Jesus here in the middle and the two robbers on either side of him. And here are some of the women at the bottom praying and crying. Or maybe they could be angels. And look how she's shown how even though it was as the middle of the day, it became as dark as night when Jesus was hung on the cross. I wonder what kind of picture you might make about this story. After Jesus died, a rich man named Joseph of Arimathea went to Pontius Pilate, the governor, and asked if they could take Jesus' body. Pilate said yes, and so they took Jesus' body, and they buried his body in a tomb that was carved out of the rock on the side of the hillside. And they closed the opening of the tomb with a huge stone so that no one could go in or come out. The next day was Saturday, the Sabbath, and it was so quiet that you could hear the earth breathing. Tomorrow is Saturday for us too, and it might be a good day to be quiet ourselves as we wait for Easter to come. Easter, the day that we've been waiting for, when God made Jesus alive again. And that is a great mystery. God made Jesus alive again so that he can be with all of us all the time, everywhere. I look forward to celebrating that during Reservoir's online Virch service together. And in other ways, I wonder how you and your household will celebrate Easter this year. Thanks for letting me share this story with you today. Amen.